So again, my name is Johnna Hepner, and I work for the Produce Marketing Association. How many of you are familiar with PMA? So, all right. So I won't really go into what the trade association does. I was hired about 9.5 years ago to come in and be the Director of Food Safety and Technology. And just recently, I moved into a role of just technology. So I guess that tells me that you can teach an old dog new tricks. Because I'm moving really fast into this technology world. So prior to joining the trade association, I worked in the industry, and I worked for a buying cooperative out of Salinas, California. And that's really where I gained the bulk of my experience. I worked there for 17 years, and I came in as a junior buyer, and they were really looking for someone that had my technical background so I could do product cuttings and understand and help them with shelf life studies. I really wanted to get into the sales side of the business, and so I eventually migrated over onto the buying desk, and I bought everything from apples to oranges. And about 10 years into that role, as food safety became more and more important, I was asked to step into a food safety role, and I managed Marcon's food safety program. And then just real quickly, prior to joining Marcon, I worked in the lettuce processing side of the industry. I worked there for 5 years, and that was an exciting time to work because that was at the beginnings of bag salads. And although I had no idea what bag salads were and processing, I knew I could do a QA lab because I had some experience working in a lab. So let's go ahead and let's start. Let me share with you some of the things that we're seeing as a trade association when it comes to ag technology. And if we want to move the clock back a little bit and think 5 years ago, almost no one knew what ag tech was. Inside the industry, we really didn't even know ourselves what we were doing. But if you fast forward today, ag technology from vertical farming to data science to farm drones, it's really the new hot thing. And unlike many of our today's disruptions, smartphones and social media, ag technology is really not about the consumer convenience and entertainment, but more about our collective survival. The reality is we need to move really quick and efficiently to be farmers, and then moving the farming from an industrial age to a digital one. I want to share with you some ideas and some big changes in technology. Some might call them disruptors for the fresh produce industry. Most of you know labor shortage, the need for automation, food safety, and climate change are all pain points for our industry. Ag technology is everywhere today, and it's really become part of our industry's culture. In the Salinas, Silicon Valley corridor, not a day goes by that there isn't a tech event of some sort. I spend half my time attending different ag technology events, workshops, mixers. Ag technology represents the application of technology, especially software and hardware technology, to the field of farming and almost every step of the supply chain. While it's an exciting place to be, it can be very overwhelming, and especially for a farmer who's been farming the same way for the last 30 years. And now you're going to tell him that he can go sit in his house and not go out and walk his fields to see if he needs to water, but he can do it all by his phone or his iPad. That's crazy for some farmers to understand. This explosion in computational capacities really led us to the brink of the Internet of Everything. It's been said that there were over 7 billion connected devices back in 2011, and by 2020, there will be over 20 billion. And by 2035, that number is expected to grow to 1 trillion. It's estimated that each of us encounter over 250 sensors each day, and that is going to triple or tenfold in a decade. How many of you been to San Francisco's Amazon Go store? Jeff. Okay, it's a great store. I mean, there isn't anything you can't buy at Safeway, but it's just a fun place to go. You upload the Amazon Go app, and you go in and you buy what you're looking for or what you need. If you look at the ceiling, there's hundreds of sensors all in the ceilings, and those sensors are tracking every move that you make, and they're detecting and collecting that data. And it's using that app that they use vision technology, deep learning, and sensor fusion that tracks what you've pulled off the shelf, what you put in your backpack, or what you put in your purse, and you just walk out the door. You don't go to a register. You just walk out, and then once you've walked out, the credit card charge comes into your phone or however you manage your money. It's a brilliant concept. And it's a brilliant marketing concept for Amazon, because as a consumer, you don't see that money actually going out of your wallet. And that way, you end up spending a lot more money than you thought. So it's brilliant marketing.
It's scary as hell.
So what we're really seeing is a convergence of different technologies that creating a new technology-based solutions at record speed. And if we look at the supply chain, plant breeding technologies such as gene editing can help us adapt to global warming. Having varieties that are more heat tolerant, sweeter varieties, and varieties that are resistant to disease is a huge win for our industry. In areas of food safety, pathogen testing, or possibly even a kill step would be a much needed technology. We're also seeing how whole genome sequencing is a huge disruption to food safety and food safety recalls. Traceability and blockchain technology will continue to help advance our industry, especially as our market expands and reaches across the globe. One of the things that's making the headlines almost daily is climate change. Climate change weaves through our lives daily, from global politics and business to sea levels, the weather, to the clothes that we wear and the food that we eat. The world's food system is responsible for about a fourth of the planet-warming greenhouse gases that humans generate each year. This includes the raising and harvesting of plants, the animal products that we eat, beef, chicken, fish, milk, corn, kale, as well as the processing, the packaging, and shipping food to markets all over the world. If you eat food, you're all part of this system. As our global population continues to rise, how do we sustainably feed 10 billion people in 2050? It's estimated that the food needs will increase over 56% by 2050. It's estimated that we throw out 1/3 of the produce that we eat. And climate change is changing the availability of our water. It's changing where our crops can be grown. And 60% of our world's water is being used for agriculture, and 40% of our land is devoted to farming. In some areas, traditional growing crop regions are now being abandoned because of climate change, and the production is being moved to higher, cooler environments. Food waste really deserves its own presentation, and I could probably spend a whole hour just talking about food waste. Food waste is a very complex problem. Everyone talks about it, but nobody really wants to admit that they helped create it. It's estimated Americans end up throwing roughly 20% of the food that they buy, and that means that all the energy that it took to produce that food was wasted. I'm guilty 100%, so is my family. For many reasons, we end up throwing away way too much food that was purchased before it goes bad. Some say that we need to feed 10 billion people by the year 2050, and in evaluating a number of startup companies today, food waste is the next big gold rush due to the number of startups in that space. If you're also looking at the money that's being invested in the food waste category, it's now up to over $125 million that's being invested in these startup companies. The types of companies investing in this space vary, but they all have one thing in common. It's their products and services that help prevent food from going to waste. Here are just a few companies. There are probably 20, 30 more companies that are investing in food waste category. These are the ones that kind of pop out in my mind because of the amount of money that's been invested in them. Appeal Sciences, they've had up to $70 million invested in their company. They use an edible coating for produce such as bananas and avocados to extend the shelf life. And this edible coating is made from plant materials. Full Harvest, Food Maven, and Imperfect Produce look to connect excess produce and farmers to other non-traditional marketplaces. For farmers who may be struggling with their own economics, having a marketplace allowing them to sell product that typically would go to waste is not only preventing food waste, but it's creating a profit that they might not have had before. Oops. Labor shortage. Consumers, Americans, we expect a lot from our ranchers and our farmers. We expect unblemished foods, vegetables, locally grown, and harvested responsibly. Fresh produce is not grown or is not produced in a factory. I think we all know that here in this class. Agriculture relies on hundreds of thousands of workers to plant the fields, tend the crops, harvest the produce, and pack it for markets for both here and abroad. And we just don't have enough of these workers. And this isn't just a California problem, which employs employs more agricultural workers than any other state. And the same issue applies to the dairy farmers in Wisconsin, the cherry growers in Michigan, tobacco growers in North Carolina, sweet potato farmers in Louisiana, and citrus growers in Florida. Labor shortages, food safety are the top two pain points for growers, and it's either labor first, food safety second, or vice versa. A decade ago, people lined up by the hundreds for jobs to work in packing houses in California and in Arizona during the lettuce season, but that's not the case anymore. The workforce is getting older, and we're just not attracting young people to our industry. So there's really no great solution at the end of the day. However, automation and robotics are going to help bridge that gap. But it's difficult to replace the human eye and the human touch. And we're really in the beginning of this type of technology. It's going to take years to develop a technology that can recognize when it's the right time to harvest a fruit or do it without bruising it. But given our workforce challenges, there's a lot of companies and a lot of smart people that are working very hard to move that needle with that type of technology. While automation is on the horizon, we still need to find solutions that make better jobs that don't require people to be bent over all day long picking or cutting lettuce. It's estimated that $13 million of crops are left in the field just in California due to the lack of labor to harvest them. And it's also estimated that 4.8 million pounds of apples were left in the orchards in Washington state alone because we didn't have the labor to get it harvested. I want to share a video from Taylor Farms of an automated harvesting machine for romaine. They've been able to automate this process using a water jet cutting system. But what's unique about it is that, one, it's helping replace some of the labor that's not in the fields, but it's taken the workers up out of the fields. It's prevented them from having to bend over all day long trying to pack romaine or lettuce. Taylor Farms is known for their innovation. Okay. It worked before. Do I need to? There we go. And give it to play. There we go. It's still hard work, but it's helping employees not have to be bent over all day long. Another great innovation that's being used over in Europe is a weeder. rather than having 20 to 30 people out in this field hand weeding, they're using a solar-powered machine to spray insecticide, herbicides in the field. It's pretty ingenious if you think about it. And then lastly, the labor issue just isn't a leafy green issue. Really, all of our commodities suffer from a lack of labor. The strawberry industry is working very hard and very diligently in automating harvesting of their crops. Turn that on.
Robots are moving as quickly as they can to harvest the strawberries off the plants. The machine is approximately 30,000 pounds right now and about 25 feet long. It spans 4 rows and picks 60 plants simultaneously. The harvester is sort of the mothership for all of the picker robots. It has all the support equipment on it. It does the GPS precise navigation, gets the robots over their plants accurately, and then tells them to go pick. And then the robots are almost autonomous. They do their picking on their own and just report back to the harvester when they're done picking the plant. So it's a cooperative system that we work between our harvester robots and the harvester.
Pretty cool stuff, right? There we go. So the labor shortage is not, again, just to the fields. We also see it in our packing houses, our processing plants, and our distribution centers. And while automation is moving very quickly in the indoors with vertical form filled machines that really have been around for many, many years, they are adapting those to other ways of using them. But we're also using digital sorting equipment in all types of packing houses to replace workers that historically hand sorted that fruit that went across the conveyors. Thank you. Thank you. While working outside in the fields has its own unique challenges, indoor operations also have their challenges. And I really saw that firsthand when I worked in a lettuce processing plant. It's a wet, cold environment. It's tough, it's long hours. Most processing plants operate anywhere between 36 and 38 degrees. So any type of automation that we can do in our packing houses or in our processing plants is really much needed and very welcomed. Again, we're not attracting that young talent in these work environments, so we need to create a more welcoming environment. The indoor and vertical farming is in the headlines quite a bit. They also, oops, there's a little bit of overlap there, are getting a lot of attention, a lot of money being thrown at them. Plenty has raised over $200 million, and Aero Farms has raised over $40 million. There's some challenges still. There's some folks that not sure if these can be scaled, and we can bring the cost down. I know China and Asia has adopted a lot of this technology into their programs. The big win here is really about providing fresh produce, fresh local produce. Vertical farming can actually help increase that fresh produce in urban areas as well as food deserts. So while they may not feed the world in a mass scale, it definitely has its purpose in place. Consumer expectations for the food they consume and how they shop for it is really evolving. For decades, U.S. shoppers were loyal to a single store that would fulfill all of their food and beverage needs. Today, consumers are far more likely to run to 3 or 4 different retail locations to ensure they get exactly what they want, and they get what they want and when they want it. It's a very different dynamic than when I was growing up. We went to the same store every week, every Saturday. And this is especially true with this evolving consumer shopping preference, true for millennials. Millennials make up more than 1/3 of our grocery shoppers. They like to try new products, and they're willing to explore apps and technology to get that better shopping experience. Millennials also care about shopping responsibility, and they consider where their products are produced, and if they're produced responsibly. The Gen Z and the I generation, they're going to have a profound impact on our food and beverage industry. This generation really finds culinary inspiration online and through social media platforms, and testing recipes at home are being done more often than a lot of older generations. And they've really opened the door to trying new dishes and flavors that aren't traditionally cooked at home. So technology is really beginning to change the way, okay, how do I scroll? There we go. Technology is changing the way consumers shop, and I know for a fact that I've joined this trend. Not only do I go to 3 or 4 different stores, but I've also begun shopping online, especially during the holidays, because I don't have a lot of time to be doing that shopping. But I still haven't given in to doing allowing home delivery for my fresh produce, and I think that's the one that's going to hold out the longest. Is as consumers, we really know exactly what type of tomato we want. We know what color banana we want. And we don't really trust these home delivery services to be able to do the same type of shopping that we would do. Studies show that 25% of shoppers say that they order groceries online, and 55% are willing to try it in the future. Amazon, Instacart, and Fresh Direct are just a few of the online grocery retailers that are capitalizing on the shopper's desire for variety and convenience. And convenience is really the big one. They also have one distinct advantage over the brick and mortar stores, and that's the customizable communication. It's far easier to customize to a customer through online and collecting that data than going into a store. By 2020, there will be 55 million smart devices in our homes, making that the biggest supermarket chain in the planet. And the fun fact here is they expect our appliances to be able to communicate with each other in the near future. So our refrigerator, our mixer, and our oven are all going to start talking to each other. And not only are they going to order the food, but they're also going to prep it. Augmented, virtual, and mixed reality is allowing retailers to enhance that shopping experience, while artificial intelligence is allowing retailers to create that perfect experience. These technologies are allowing retailers to better serve our customers and capture more behavioral data than ever before. And again, millennials will most likely be the last generation to be marketed to, as the generation next is going to be personalized marketing tactics. Show you a quick video. Many of you may have seen it. Oh, not yet. It's the next slide. One more. Okay. So I'm not sure about you, but I don't enjoy grocery shopping. And studies show that grocery shopping is a major time drainer. And when you add it up, going to a store, it can take 1 to 2 hours out of your day. And if you're like me and you have a recently licensed 16-year-old who can't wait to get behind the wheel and drive, I send them to the store those 3 or 4 times a week that I don't want to go. Not only is the online shopping is a great convenience and a trend, that home delivery, it's great because you can do this all online, pay with your credit card, and voila, your groceries appear at your door. And Amazon recognizes this convenience factor, and they've invested very heavily with purchasing Whole Foods. They've got Amazon Fresh, Amazon Go, and now Prime. And like many retailers, Amazon has expanded the availability of the meal kits. Is anybody doing meal kits here? How do you like it? Yeah, I use HelloFresh. I was a little skeptical at first, but because I travel a lot and I have daughters at home, I'm like, you girls need to cook dinner for your dad. And so now they are empowered because they have everything they need in a little brown bag. The recipe, it takes 20 minutes, and voila, they've got dinner. So time-starved and convenience-seeking consumers are saying yes to this new convenience and this growing appetite for a home delivery. Times have changed. Does anybody know what the first home delivery good was? Had 90% of the market share. Pizza. Pizza. They had 90% of that market share. They were like the first home delivery business available to consumers. We've forgotten about Domino's. Here's a fun little
When
video.
it comes to your food and groceries, every detail matters. From where your fruits and vegetables are grown to how they're delivered fresh to your door. From choosing the highest quality produce to placing your order for the week.
Alexa, order bread from Fresh.
Okay, added. As you get going with your workday, we work with your favorite brands and local farmers. Placing your grocery order is easy. Then it's carefully packed and bagged by our local team.
Anybody seen that commercial? No? It's that's our new generation, right? This is how we're moving. Let's see. There we go. So no matter where I go and who I talk to in our industry, food safety always enters the discussion as a topic that keeps them up at night. I know it did for me when I worked as a director of food safety. I worried. I had many sleepless nights wondering if I missed something or if one of my growers that we were working with missed something. They're not doing what they say that they were doing. When I started in the industry in food safety, it was in 2003. And it wasn't much later the Sheets tomato outbreak occurred, and then just a few years later, the big spinach outbreak of 2006, which drastically changed our industry. 16 years later, we're still struggling as an industry to get in front of food safety issues. A lot has happened. A lot more outbreaks have occurred. People continue to get sick and die, and consumer confidence erodes every time we have a food safety issue. So how is technology going to help us in the area of food safety? Whole genome sequencing is a game changer. The Food and Drug Administration is using whole genome sequencing in the public health arena to perform traceback investigations and identify locations and sources of product contaminations. Using whole genome sequencing to identify unique strains of pathogens is a powerful technology that may indeed replace our traditional microbiology and even our other DNA-based tools that have been the foundation of our public health detection tools for decades. Whole genome sequencing has become inexpensive, it's become very easy to use, has the same identical sample prep for all other pathogens, and again has become faster and faster every year. The use of whole genome sequencing and the genome tracker, which is a network of labs utilized for whole genome sequencing for pathogen identification. It now consists of 15 labs, 25 state health and university labs, and 20 labs located outside the U.S. Expect those numbers to continue to increase. Currently, the genome tracker has sequenced over 300,000 isolates and more than 300 genomes. It now averages over 8,000 isolates each month. The network is reliable, it's efficient, and it can provide location and specific pathogens when combined with the metadata. The metadata is where the organism was found, what produce or other material it was isolated from, the time of year it was found, previous illnesses that are associated with that strain, and other attributes, all in this open database. The expectation is that tracebacks can be more focused and can be faster. And this means that the regulatory and the public health professionals will solve more disease outbreaks and help identify locations and the sources of contaminations. Again, this is a game changer for our industry. Less than 45% of outbreaks are ever solved, which is startling. The produce industry is unique. We don't have a kill step. And unlike other industries, our products are eaten in a raw form, which is great. We have one of the most natural, wholesome foods to offer consumers, which is a great thing when we are trying to curb obesity in the United States. We have a great and the perfect antidote of eating fresh and healthy fruits and vegetables. But if consumer has no confidence in the products that we are producing are safe, we're trying to swim upstream. Because we don't have a kill step, and that's been a major pain point in our industry, other food industries have heat treatments like pasteurization and cooking to kill pathogens that might be present. While fresh produce, we don't have that option. We are now forced to use a stage gate approach to manage pathogen contamination for our products. We employ hazard analysis, critical control points, good agricultural practices, and GMPs to help reduce the risk of contamination. As we look to technology, perhaps there are approaches that might help us be more effective in killing transient contaminations. Technologies like cold plasma that uses plasmas to kill microorganisms in water claim to reduce microbes up to 4 logs. This is an approach that has a significant gain over many of our current wash systems. Irradiation, people are beginning to look again at radiation. While it doesn't have 100% kill dosage, and there's a lot of other challenges that go with that, many people are beginning to look at that being another solution. Other technology applications for food safety is biomapping. Basically, you can map your facilities using strain-specific genomic sequences to identify what kind of organisms that might be present in your facility over time. And of course, many microorganisms are not pathogens, and they are simply residents of your operations. However, if you detect a sequence that correlates to Salmonella or Listeria, you can then perhaps pinpoint where it resides and refocus your sanitation efforts. What happened here? Okay. There we go. Innovations in plant breeding help us enable us with to have more choices for consumers and addressing the challenges that we have in our global food system. Everything you've purchased at the grocery store has been improved through plant breeding. Plant breeding provides farmers with crops that are best suited for tough environments, and consumer preferences are by making use of the genetic diversity that exists naturally within each crop. These innovations in plant breeding have opened the door to new opportunities in agriculture. Understanding the genetic markers in the plant's DNA offers insight to which plants carry traits that will help us combat environmental challenges like pest and disease and drought. Some plants are better adapted to certain climates and more resistant to changing environmental conditions, improving their chance of survival, which leads to more productive harvests. There we go. So plant breeding is not just about addressing environmental challenges. Plants can breed to ensure higher quality, more uniform shaped crops, which can lead to a reduction in food loss and waste. Plant breeding today involves some of the world's most sophisticated technologies and practices to help develop plants that we need to nourish our growing world and preserve our natural resources. An exciting innovation that has captured the imagination of the research community is gene editing, which allows scientists to make more targeted improvements within a plant's DNA to produce a better crop. These edits fine-tune a plant's own genetic material and can result in better harvest more quickly and predictability than other breeding tools and practices in the past. Jeff mentioned the potato, the non-browning potato. What a lifesaver for restaurants that are peeling and shredding those potatoes and they don't turn pink and oxidize. The Arctic apple, has anybody tried the Arctic apple? What do you think?
Oh, it's fantastic. I designed the packaging for it. So but there's the, what do they call it? You can get it on Amazon, and it's a dehydrated Arctic apple in a French fry form.
Oh, wow.
And you can actually order it on
Amazon.
And it's a snack food.
Interesting. Yeah. Of course, you can get it on Amazon.
It up, and it's a little dehydrated apple stick.
I'll have to look for it. Oh, great. So earlier this year, PMA recognized seminous vegetable seeds with our PMA Science and Technology Circle of Excellence Award. PMA looks to award and recognize companies that are solving industry challenges. And those challenges harness science and technology in the produce and floral industry. This year we had over 30 applicants, and it's important that we as an industry recognize innovators in hoping that we inspire others to follow that lead in innovations. The high-rise broccoli innovation traits not only delivered a great tasting broccoli, but it also provided broccoli growers and processors with a product that had a uniform crown, and it allowed those growers to only have to make 1 to 2 machine passes with their machine harvester. Other broccoli varieties require 3 to 4 passes. This ultimately reduces the amount of labor that is needed, a labor that we don't have, as well as the time harvesting. This product is exciting because it harnesses the power of plant breeding to address our industry's biggest pain point, the shortage of skilled labor. In a holistic way, it's also paving the way to develop other new harvesting technologies. This is the type of innovation that's really much needed in our industry. Other past participants that received the award was Smartwash Solutions and Plant Tape. As an industry, we have an opportunity to embrace this new world of technology and especially drive the narrative as to what we're doing in the industry. Too often, we don't tell our story as growers and what we're doing from a sustainability standpoint. We're the good stewards of the land, but we're not telling that story. It's important to continue to have a strong awareness, be connected, and be engaged. It's very critical for our industry if we're going to move from an industrial age to a digital one. And then finally, farmers and processors are utilizing technology tools to extract measurable improvements in food safety, in traceability, water management, and soil stewardship, as well as automation of labor in an intensive industry. These advancements and trends are providing farmers, our supply chain, consumers with a unique opportunity to embrace innovation like never before. But however, in order to be successful, each of us have to forge those new relationships, remain informed, and extend our knowledge base. And this concludes my presentation. I think I'm right on time.